Today we're talking about preempting. I like to call it preempting for fun and profit, or I've heard it expressed as for Republicans and Democrats. No matter if you're conservative or kind of liberal, you can use preemptive bids to your advantage. So basically, you're elbowing your way into the auction at a high level because you have a good bad hand. In other words, you have a hand with not very many high card points in it, but you have a long suit. Long suits make a lot of difference. Now, no matter how good your opponents are, if you throw in a bid at a high level, they're not going to have the freedom to explore where their optimum contract might be. Now, more experienced pairs are better at it than inexperienced pairs are, but even more experienced pairs often end up on the bad side or not in their optimum contract because one of the opponents jumped in there with 3 spades or 3 diamonds or even a 2 spade overcall. So one of the things you want to try to do when you're at the table is to make life difficult for your opponents. Now, that doesn't mean that you abandon all the rules of bidding, but it does mean that when the colors are appropriate, in other words, you're not vulnerable, or you are vulnerable and your opponents are not, you may not want to jump into the bidding with a really lousy suit at a high level. But you need to use every chance you get to make life difficult for the people who really own the hand. Just because they own the hand doesn't mean they're going to get to the best spot, does it? So if you can force them to make a bad choice at a high level, well, good for me. That's nothing but good for me. But there's one big rule here you need to remember, because I've seen people preempt and then bid again. This is a huge, huge no-no. Once you have preempted, you've told the entire story of your hand. The way people get into trouble is by trying to tell their story more than once. When you've shown your values and the length of your long suit with a preemptive bid, the only time you bid again is if your partner forces you to do that. How does he force you to do that? If he's an unpassed hand, he can bid a new suit. But because of the nature of your bid and the way it describes your hand, he should only do so if he has a strong hand with a good suit of his own and no support for yours. That's when he comes in and forces you to bid again. He needs to realize that you may not have support for him. If you've shown a 7-card suit, you could be void in his suit. It wouldn't be unheard of. A 7-3-3-0 hand doesn't happen all that often, but it does with enough regularity that it's a possibility here. And it's also very likely that he might just have a singleton in your suit. So you need to have a really strong hand with a good suit, a suit that you think is as good or better than your partner's. To bid a new suit when a preemptor has opened at the 3 or 4 level, because you're forcing him to bid again. And that's not always what you want to do. So remember, if you have preempted, no matter how tempted you are to bid again, you should never do it. I've seen a lot of you recently, and not just online, in online games, but also at the club. This is limited players having a 7-card suit and opening at the 2 level, and then competing further if they're forced to. The problem with that approach is that now you've allowed the opponents to exchange some information about their hand. That puts them in a much better position than they were if you had just opened at the 3 level to begin with. If you're willing to bid to the 3 level when you open and you have a 7-card suit, make that your opening bid. Try to crowd them out. You may have somebody sitting on your right, say you open 2 spades. You may have somebody sitting on your right that doesn't have a problem at all doubling at that level. But if you have 7 spades and you open at 3 spades, he's going to have to think long and hard before he forces his partner to bid at the 4 level, because he doesn't know which of the remaining 2 players has the better hand or has the lion's share of the points. So when you have enough cards to bid at the 3 level, bid at the 3 level. I heard when I asked one of the players one day why he didn't open at the 3 level with 7 cards, he says, because it gives me a better chance to make the contract if I'm only in 2. Folks, the object of preempting is not to make the contract. The object of preempting is to take the contract from the opponents when the hand really belongs to them. When you preempt, if you play the hand, you expect to go set unless your partner has just the right hand for you. This is a normal part of preempting. Your ultimate goal, though, is to give the opponents fewer points than they'd have gotten had they been able to play the hand where they wanted to play it. So you go into this idea of preempting with the idea that you're not necessarily going to make it. And that's what should govern your bidding, not giving yourself a better chance to make a bid, because people are not nearly as worried about coming in at the 3 level as they are at the 4 level. So now let's talk about week 2 bids for just a minute. We have been over these several times in the past, but I want to briefly review these qualifications or the guidelines for using a week 2 bid. First off, you should never open a week 2 with a void in your hand. Why is that? For a long time, I didn't understand, well, what's wrong with having a void? Doesn't this give me more trick-taking potential? When you preempt, you tell your partner, this is where we have to play it. This is the only suit I have. There are no other candidates for a contract for us. If you have a void in your hand and you thinking about bidding a 6-card suit, you have 7 other cards in your hand. At the very worst, they're going to break 4-3. You have another place to play in that 4-card suit. And when it's a major, once you have preempted in the other major, it's highly unlikely that you are ever going to find a 4-4 fit in the other one. I know it's tempting if you have a perfect week 2 opening, except you have this void in your hand, or you have an outside 4-card major. Now, if you have the 5-4-3-2 in that outside major, I might not worry very much about it. But if you've got a 4-card major that has an honor at the top of it, that becomes a whole different ball of wax, especially if you're sitting in the first seat. You don't have any idea what kind of hand your partner has. He may be getting ready to open 1 no trump. Then you can bid 2 clubs saying, show me a 4-card suit. If he denies one, then you can bid your 5-card suit or 6-card suit and play there. You know you have an 8-card fit. So we don't want to open a week 2 with a side 5-card and 4-card major, a void, or having your honors in the outside suits, such as having defensive tricks. This is a sign when you have defensive tricks that you want to defend, not declare. The other principal guideline is you're going to have 5 to 10 high card points in your hand. Now, what kind of honors do I need here if I'm going to open a week 2? I know you've heard me say many times, if you're vulnerable and the opponents are not, it behooves you to have 2 of the top 3 honors if you're going to open a week 2 bid. With a really good hand, with good texture, you might settle for 2 of the top 4. So for instance, King Jack or Ace Jack. The worse your honor situation is, the better your small cards or spot cards need to be. This is called the texture of your hand. Having good texture means you have high spot cards like 9s, 8s, and 7s. Poor texture means I've got 3s, 4s, and 5s. If you have hands with good honor strength, then the texture is of secondary importance. But if you have not such great honors at the top of your suit, then texture becomes extremely important. This is when you're vulnerable. Non-vulnerable, you can have 2 of the top 6. And the top 6 would be the ace through the 9. And if you have weaker honors, say you only have 2 of the top 6, if you're a bit weak there, you really, really need to have good texture. I've given you an example here of a good weak 2 bid in spades here, vulnerable. Notice there's nothing else outside the spade suit at all. But the suit is king, queen, 10. That's 3 of the top 5, and the texture is good. Down here with the non-vulnerable opening, the king 10, notice that's not nearly as good as the suit is here that we've shown that's good for a vulnerable bid. But look at the texture in this hand, 9, 8, 7, 8, 6, 4, 7 down here in the clubs. The texture is good. You have more high spot cards than you have low spot cards. This makes this acceptable for a non-vulnerable weak 2 bid. I personally would look at that and say, oh boy, that is, there's not a lot in that, but I have the spade suit. Remember, when you have the spade suit, you have God suit. A preemptive weak 2 bid or weak jump overcall crowds the bidding so much that if I'm not vulnerable, I'm still going to open this 2 spades. Now, if you open both of those examples, either vulnerable or non-vulnerable, if you look at your hand and say, well, I've got 6 spades, and you don't have an honor at the top, and you open 2 spades with it, your partner is never going to know whether you have anything of value or not. It's going to make it very difficult for him to make a decision if he has a good hand.
Susan, there's a couple of questions.
Sure.
Susie has her hand up.
All right, Susie.
Okay, so when you're opening with preemptive bids, you don't have to meet that ACBL rule of 10 high card points or the rule of 19?
Oh, no. When you open that's for opening at the 1 level.
Great, thank you.
To open a preemptive bid, you want to have fewer than 10 high card points. If your hand could have more than 10 high card points in it, or more than 12 or more, really, especially, then your partner needs to alert that, because that is not standard. Preemptive bids, typically they say up to 11 is fine. My personal opinion is that 11 high card points in a 6 card suit is a 1 bid, because I have a rebid, a very convenient rebid. So these are allowed because they're not opening 1 bids. These are the rules for skipping over that 1 level. Does that make sense? Yes, Roy.
Roy has his hand up.
On this page, under non-vulnerable, with that king 10, 9, 8, you would open that
2
2
spades.
spades in the first seat?
Yep.
In the first seat?
In the first seat. Yes, sir. 2 of the top 6.
Thank you.
Look at the thing that makes the difference here to me is look at 10, 9, 8, 7. If that were 10, 6, 4, 3, 2, I'm going to look at it and say, oh boy, I will at least stop and really think about it. Think about who my partner is and how upset they'll be if I go off the reservation there. Some of my partners don't care. Others will say, what in the world were you thinking? That's not our agreement. So a lot depends on our partnership agreement. But most of my partners and I have the understanding that a non-vulnerable week 2, if I have only 1 or 2 of the top, this one has 3 of the top 6, the king, 10, and 9. So it meets that requirement and it has good texture. So this one's fine. But if it were King 10, 6, 5, 4, 3, I'm probably going to say, no, I'm not likely to get a good result on this hand at all. And I'll wait and see if my partner can open the bidding, and then I'll start bidding my spades. This is a matter of experience and hand evaluation. Initially, the only thing that I would expect you to do is know what the rules are. It takes 6 cards and I need to have this, but you don't always get a hand that follows the guidelines. And this is where your experience comes in. I've been known to open a questionable weak 2 from time to time, like a queen empty 6 in a suit, only to have my partner say, I thought you said we played disciplined weak 2s. And I said, yes, I know that's what I said, but that's not what I did. But the devil made me do it. Maybe I've been sitting there all day long, not bidding, and I finally get a hand that I can use to bid, and then my partner's mad at me because I still shouldn't have bid. So talk to your partners. How good do you expect my suit to be? How many honors? What do you think about the texture? When you have a borderline weak 2 opening hand, look at the texture. Look at your outside distribution. If you have a lot of shape, go for it. If you have good texture, go for it. But if you don't, put down the green card. It might not be the right thing today, but over the long haul, it will be the right thing. That's the thing you have to keep in mind. How does it work out over the long haul? Try not to play results on one specific hand. Does that answer your question, Roy?
Yeah, yes, it does. Thank you.
Good, you bet. All right, now there's also the consideration of which chair you occupy. In general, weak 2 bids in the first or second seat need to follow those honor and texture requirements. You should be disciplined in the first seat. You should be especially disciplined in the second seat, simply because responder now knows that his partner has either passed or he's bid a suit and you're thinking about using a weak jump over call. Responder's in a good position to know whether or not the hand belongs to his side. So you want to be very, very careful in second seat, more so even than in the first seat. Now, when you preempt in the first seat, you're preempting all 3 players at the table, 2 of whom are your opponents. When you preempt in the second seat, you're preempting only 2 opponents. One is your partner and one is an opponent. So you need to consider the ramifications of what will happen if the responder is in a position to pull out the double card at any point because you weren't quite disciplined enough in the second seat here. This is whether it's an overcall or an opening bid in the second seat. Sitting in the second seat is when you need to be the most careful about abiding by those considerations for opening a weak 2. Now, third chair, when it's gone pass, is a horse of a different color, completely. Your partner is not going to go crazy and bid a slam here. He's a passed hand. He can have at most 11 high card points. In the third seat, you can open a weak 2 bid with a good 5 card suit. Perfectly acceptable, done regularly, particularly if you're not vulnerable and the opponents are. That's a great bid. You could open 1 if you had as few as 9 points, if you're playing in a game where the ACBL convention chart allows you to do that. In an open game, that is certainly allowed, but it depends on whether you're playing in a 0-750 or a 751 to a 1500, whether or not having only 9 points to open or making the rule of 19, as Don says, are required. So in the third chair, Your suit doesn't have to be as good. And you can even have a 5-card suit if you do have good honors in it. Don't try preempting with a lousy 5-card suit. You really need to have a good 5-card suit to do that. In the 4th seat, there are no preempts because there's nobody left to preempt. If you have 8 points and 6 spades in your hand, throw it in. Move on to the next hand. If you bid, you're not liable to get a good result. You may bid and go down, and all of a sudden, the opponents have a score that they didn't deserve because you could have thrown the hand in and everybody would have most likely gotten close to an average. In the 4th chair, if you open with a 2 bid, it's not weak. It should show 14 to 16 points or something like that, and a 6-card suit. This is for opening at the 2 level. Remember, when you open at the 1 level in the 4th seat, use Pearson points or casino count. Number of high card points plus the number of spades equals 15. Open the bidding. If you're short, fold it up. Move on to the next hand. The reason being is that if you don't have the spades, you are just opening up the auction for the opponents who do have the spades. And if you and your partner have hearts and they have spades, guess who's liable to steal the contract from you? So that's the reason for that rule. And following that rule has gotten, not following that rule has gotten me into trouble more times than not. I have finally taken the pledge and saying I'm going to follow the rule of 15 all the time. Here's an example of a hand that might bid 2 spades in the 3rd chair. Notice how effective this is. We now know, since it's gone pass, and I only have 6 points in my hand here, we know who the money bags guy is. He's the guy sitting in the 4th seat. Notice how when I bid 2 spades, he's not nearly as comfortable as he would have been opening at the 1 level. And this is perfectly acceptable. In the 3rd seat, opening with a 5-card suit is perfectly acceptable. In 4th seat, this is the kind of hand you need to have to open 2 spades. With a normal opening hand that meets the rule of 15, you have 5 spades and 12 points. That's more than meets the rule of 17. Open 1 spade. With 6 cards and 14 to 16 points, feel free to open it too.
One caveat there, and let's just read the rules. Under basic chart, allowed bidding agreements, any 2-level opening bid showing at least, any natural opening bid and a suit at the 2 level showing at least 4 high card and a range not greater than 7. So on your convention card, you're going to have something to the effect of 5 to 11 or 4 to 10 for your week 2 openers. I'm okay with you opening a 4th seat 2 level with 12 high card or 13, but the point is that's allowed given that you make your range 7. So that means you probably need to alert your 4th seat week 2 if it shows that many points. And whatever the case is, you cannot have a range greater than 7. So if you agree you can open a 4th seat week 2 in spades with 14 points, then you can't open it with less than 8.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Well, and you shouldn't open it with less than 8.
Well, I know, but the point is, I get to come and rain on somebody's parade and say, you did something wrong.
Yeah. And you and your partner should understand that there's no reason to preempt in the 4th seat. Everybody's passed. So
Was that Pearson's points rule of 15 or rule of 17?
it's the rule of 15 on opening at the 1 level in the 4th chair. Pass to you. Add your high card points to the number of spades you have. If the total is 15 or greater, then open. If you don't come to 15, pass. I made this mistake not too long ago. I came to 14, not 15. So I opened the bidding. My partner didn't have much. I mean, I opened a spade and she bid one no trump. And the opponent said, no, I don't think so. And they proceeded to take the contract in 2 hearts, made it, and we got a 0 because everybody else threw the hand in my position. It was not a good idea for me to open there because I didn't make the rule of 15. Sometimes I have to be a wave fighter and I have to learn the hard way. Believe me, I won't be doing that again.
Scott has a question now.
Sure.
On that 4th chair example, I can certainly see why you could open that at the 2 level, but given that there's a possibility that your partner might have a close to opening hand, but not be able to open, why wouldn't you just open that one and pursue it that way?
Well, I might, but a 2 spade bid here shows this level of points. I could open 1 spade with 12 points and 5 spades. The rationale here is that with 6 cards in the suit and better than minimum hand, that 2 spades shows that bid. You and your partner don't have to bid 2 spades with this hand, but I like the blocking effect of 2 spades. If I open 1 spade and my left-hand opponent has 11 points and 5 nice hearts, I've given him the opportunity to stick a bid in. But if I bid 2 spades, he's less likely to do so. I like bids that keep the opponents from being able to exchange information. The more I can keep them in the dark, the better off I am. So this is a matter, I mean, discuss this with your partner on how you would want to bid a hand like this. But if you open this hand 1 spade and also one that has 12 points and 5 spades in it, your partner's never going to know that you have a 6 card with this many points in it. So that's why I would differentiate those 2 hands by bidding 1 spade with the weaker hand with 5 spades and bid 2 spades with this one, because this is the 4th seat and I have an additional opportunity to show a hand like this. I would never open this hand 2 spades in any other seat but 4th seat. It's not appropriate for any hand other than 4th seat. That's my own feeling about it. It is not the last word on the subject, though. Once again, talk to your partner about how you want to play this. Okay, any other questions? No, all right.
There are a couple in the chat.
Okay.
Let's see here. Are the preemptive rules on the ACBL website, or if not, where can we find them?
Yes, they are on the website. Look for ACBL convention charts. Just let me get unmuted. Okay, I'm unmuted. Yeah, effective date was April 4th, 2022 on ACBL convention charts. And depending on what game you're in, whether it's basic or basic plus or open, it'll be laid out there fairly clearly. And if you have questions and you're at the club, I'll be happy to print it for you and hand you a paper copy.
The other question was, can you clarify that range of 7?
Yeah, I answered that question in a text directly to her.
Okay.
But essentially, if you have agree to open week 2 bids with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, that's a range of 7. You know, if you start counting how, you know, you can have a 5 point, 6 point, 7 point, that's a range of 7. If you were to allow 4 to 11, that would be a range of 8. So it's how that range of points where you can open that week 2. You know, if you had a range of 3, then it would be 9, 10, 11. That would be a range of 3. Does that make sense?
It does.
Sorry.
Yes, thank you.
All right. I'm not going to talk about the responses to a week 2 bid because we've covered those before. I want to move on to 3-level preempts. There's a big difference between a week 2, which is basically constructive in nature, You and your partner are looking for a fit with the idea that you might actually play game, win the contract, all that kind of stuff. High-level preempts are destructive. They are meant to just throw the auction all up into the air like a big sheaf of paper and watch them all fall to the floor in all kinds of places, and the whole auction is just blown to bits. Now, once again, as I said before, when you make a high-level preempt, the objective is not to make the contract. Unless your partner has a good hand with a reasonable fit for you, the odds are very high that you're going to go set. But remember, when you use a destructive bid like a 3 or 4 level preempt, the idea is to block the opponents, make them worried about bidding at the 4 level if you can at all. Bidding at the 4 level takes nerves of steel. I mean, even if your opponents know that your bid is weak, they may think, oh my gosh, they may not be able to make their bid, but they have pushed the bidding so high that I'm not going to be able to make anything either. You know, bummer. That's what preempts do. Often they keep opponents out of games. They keep them out of the right game. Sometimes they end up in the wrong game. And many times they keep them out of slam, and they always make them worry about no trump. So what's not to love about one of these kinds of bids? All right, now let's look at these 2 hands. Here's an example. Both of these hands have 6 playing tricks in them. This one has 7 spades, drive out the ace, the remaining 6 are going to be good. We have 2 sets of ace, king, ace, king, ace, king here in 3 suits. Both of these hands have 6 tricks in them. But there's a huge amount of difference in what you can expect to make with them. If you hold the hand on the left, you're hoping if partner has anything that you're going to play a game contract or possibly even a slam. But if you hold the hand on the right, if you want to open 3 spades, you hope to hold it to down 3. I think you can see that if you have this kind of hand and partner has a couple of 3 spades for you, that the opponents probably have 4 hearts. The question is, can they find it? Can they find it? Well, maybe, maybe not. When you're thinking about preempting, think in terms of how many tricks you have, not how many points. My mother used to say distribution is the great equalizer. Here it's distribution that gives you 6 playing tricks, not high card points. Now, in general, a weak 2 promises 5 playing tricks. A vulnerable weak 2 against not vulnerable, you and your partner might be inclined to say 6. But it's rare that you would pick up a good weak 2 bid that has no loser in it. 2 of the top 3 obviously doesn't always promise the ace king. A 3-level preempt should promise 6 tricks, and a 4-level preempt should provide about 7 tricks. Notice these are about 3 tricks short of the level to which you're bidding. Now, what do I need if I want to bid at the 3 level? I need a good 7-card suit. No suits headed by the 10 or the 9, please. That will have nowhere near 6 playing tricks in it. A good 7-card suit means if you're vulnerable, have 2 of the top 3, or non-vulnerable, have 2 of the top 5. A 4-card major suit is okay. When you're opening a 3-level bid, if you're 7-4-1-1, that's great distribution. I might even be inclined with 2 singletons in my hand to open that at the 4 level. Now, use this rule when you're thinking about whether to open with a preempt or with a one level bid, because some hands are going to have enough high card points in them when added to your link that they're going to be worth a one bid instead of a three bid. With the number of high card points plus the link points. In other words, don't count the first four cards in the suit. Count only the ones after that. If you have 10 high card points and you have a 7-card suit, that makes 13. I have an opening bid and I have a rebid. I wouldn't hesitate to open a 7-card suit at the one level if I had 10 high card points. Certainly I would do it with 11 high card points because I open a 6-card suit and 11 points at the one level. With fewer than 10 high card points, open at the 3 level. Now, a 3-level preempt ideally has both honors in the suit and good texture. And as I said, textures means that you have the high spot cards, not the low ones. The fewer honors you have in your suit, the better your texture should be. So for instance, here are some examples. On this first one, you have great texture in this hand. So this is definitely worth a 3-spade opening. I think anybody can see King, Queen, Jack, not much outside. This is a typical good preemptive 3-spade hand. Here's another one. This time the suit is equally good, if not maybe a little bit better. Doesn't have quite as good a texture, but look at the honors in the suit, 4 of the top 5. This also is worth 3 spades. Here's another one, 3 of the top 5. I'm still comfortable bidding 3 spades here. But with this next example, this one falls under the heading that a lot of people use, the rule of 13. If I have 13 cards in my hand, I'm bidding. This is a lousy suit, not good texture, and you have no points. This is like asking to get doubled and going for a zip code, folks. You don't want to be bidding 3 spades with this kind of a suit. You would love it if your partner would open 1 no trump so you could transfer to spades and get out. But that may or may not happen. Now we have a different situation here. 7 spades, but this hand has 13 high card points in it. This is not a 3-level bid. This is a 1-spade opening, and it has a rebid and even another rebid. If your partner keeps saying, I don't have good spades over here, I don't care whether you have good spades. I have long spades and I have good honors. So this hand is a 1 bid. This hand is a pass. But these first 3 are all appropriate 3-spade bids.
Got a question from Ella.
Sure, Ella, go ahead.
Susan, do you never count your suits where you don't have, you don't count when you don't have, I guess it's just high card points, not any
Right.
points for distribution.
Right. Well, now when I'm looking at, when I've got a borderline hand, say like on this previous slide, I'm going to look at this hand right here. ACBL is really funny about people who preempt with 12 or more points in their hands. If you would routinely do that, your partner needs to alert it. It's not illegal, but it must be alerted. This hand has 13 high card points in it. So according to that ACBL rule, I cannot open this 3 spades unless my partner alerts it, and we don't have that agreement.
Furthermore, you're outside, you're out.
Is somebody talking? I thought I heard somebody.
Yeah, it's me. If you open that as 2-level, your range of your weak 2s is too wide.
Yeah.
Okay, I was talking about some of the other hands where you bid 3. You do not count your distribution.
Yeah, I only have what 8, 9 high card points there. I suppose you could count length and come to 12 if you want to open that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a 7. This second one is a 7 loser hand, which is what a lot of opening hands are. It's a matter of hand evaluation, basically. But when I bid a preempt, I'm telling my partner, I have no place else to play. And that is absolutely true of this hand. If my partner has hearts, I can't help him. My partner has clubs, I can't help him. If he should happen to have diamonds, I have some help. So my message to him here is, I want to play this in spades, partner. If you have a couple or 3 little spades, let's play spades here. And that's what 3 spades says. It's when I get to 10, remember, you get to 10 or more high card points. This hand doesn't have 10 high card points in it. When you're trying to decide whether to open at the 3 level or the 1 level, look at this rule. If the number of high card points plus your length points adds up to 13, open it at the 1 level. This doesn't add up to 13. It adds up to 12. So I would open this one 3 spades. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
You bet. Now, using a 3 or a 4 level preemptive hand is very, very descriptive. Partner knows you have a 7 card suit, or in the case of a 4 level preempt, an 8 card suit generally, with 6 or 7 playing tricks in it and fewer than 10 high card points. That's destructive to the bidding. It just blows it all to heck. In that, it makes it very difficult for the opponents to continue having a conversation because the bidding is at such a high level. They may have the balance of power, but they're going to have a hard time. And that's the whole point of preempting. For instance, if you hold this hand, your opponent holds this hand right here, and you have opened 3 spades, what in the world should he do? If he doubles, it's a given that his partner will bid clubs. You know, the rest of you may be luckier than I am, but if I double here, my partner's going to bid clubs. Then am I going to rebid hearts? Remember, my partner is not going to bid a 3-card heart fragment if I double. He'll never do it. He's got to have at least 4 hearts to bid hearts here. He might bid diamonds with a 3-card fragment. I would like to bid hearts. But when you've got one hand that has a really long suit, lots of times there's at least one other hand at the table that has a really long suit. And I would be worried about my opponent who has not yet bid having 4 or 5 nice hearts in his hand. No support for partner, but he has all my trumps. We had a hand similar to that yesterday. It was a nightmare, if you want to know the truth. No good option here. No good option. Man, you hate to pass. I've got 14 points, but my opponent just elbowed me to the point where I have to bid at the 4 level. I don't want to bid at the 4 level with only 14 points, and I don't know what my partner has. It may be that my partner doesn't have anything and the preemptor's partner is the one with all the rest of the points. We don't know. So this is an example of why it is so advantageous to use preempts properly. You can learn to do that. Oh, you will love it. Love it. Now this begs the question. I've opened a preempt, so what's my partner supposed to do opposite it? Well, when he's thinking about it, he never focuses on points. He focuses on tricks. It's not a matter of points when you have preempted. It's a matter of tricks. So assume that if your partner shows you 7 trumps, that he should have 6 playing tricks. Ask yourself these questions. How many combined tricks do we have if we play in partner suit? If you have 4 tricks in your hand plus 2 trumps, don't do it with a singleton. He needs to repeat a finesse. He can't. But if he has 6 playing tricks and you have 4 tricks in your hand and a couple of trumps, just bid the game. Notice I didn't say how many points. Though you may have 4 trumps and a singleton someplace. That should produce a couple of tricks in addition to whatever high cards you have. With fewer than 4 tricks in your hand, when your partner has shown you 6 playing tricks, if you don't have 4 of them, here comes the law of total tricks again. With fewer than 3 cards in your partner's suit, just pass. You can't bid on to the 4 level with only 2 trumps and expect the law of total trumps to protect you, because it won't. It will require you to have 3 cards in that suit for you to raise to the 4 level. If you have 3 or more cards, though, in the suit, bid game no matter how many points you have. The idea behind the law of total tricks is that if you win the contract because you have bid to the combined number of trumps in your hand, even if you don't make the contract, odds are very good that you will give the opponents fewer points than they'd have gotten if they'd been allowed to play the hand. Now, okay, that's all well and good. What if responder has a strong hand and has no support for his partner? Notice emphasis is on strong. In that case, you can bid your suit. Try not to run an ambulance service for your partner. If he has opened 3 spades and you're void, and you've got a hand like this first one, this is a nice hand. But you've got to know that partner is unlikely to have good support for any of these suits here that you have. Remember, you can help cover his losses in the outside suit, but he's going to have to play the trump suit from his hand. He's not going to have 4 hearts in his hand. It's the odds are so remote that I wouldn't even think about it. I would not bid clubs over that 3-spade bid. His partner could very well be 7-3-3-1 and have a singleton club, or he could be 7-2-2-2. When somebody's open at the 3 level, the most frequent distribution around the table is 2-2-2 in the other hands. This is a hand that should pass because you have no spades in your hand. Resist the urge to rescue your partner. You're in a hole. He's gotten himself in a hole, so don't dig it any deeper. With the next hand, contrast this. This one has a void in it, but it's not in the suit that partner bid. Look at this hand. This is a fabulous hand. You've got fitting honors in the spade suit, a void in the short trump hand, and prime values in the other 2 suits. When partner bids 4 spades here, he's halfway expecting to make it. Now, here's another hand that should bid 4 spades also. Notice he has 4 trumps in his hand. He has precious few points. He has 4 high card points. You have fewer than 10. I know for sure, looking at my hand, that the opponents have a red suit slam. My partner can't have very many hearts. He can't have very many diamonds. And he only has 10 points, the bulk of which are in the spade suit. He has fewer than 10 points. He could easily have only the ace, queen, jack of spades, and that's all. So it's pretty obvious to me that the opponents have a big contract in one of the red suits. And if I can keep them from finding it, well, okay, I may give them 200 or 300 points. But if they have a game or a slam, they'd have gotten a lot more than that if I just passed. This is a classic example of the law of total tricks at work. I know it takes nerve to do this. You don't like bidding with the idea that you're going to go off, but you know for sure you're going to go off with this bid. But still, it's the right thing to do. Now, this is your partner's hand here, the one that opened 3 spades. Notice, he has a singleton club, he has 2 little hearts, and 3 small diamonds. So with this hand, you're gonna lose 2 hearts, a diamond, and a club. Down 1, right? Even though these are terrible looking hands, they don't have to fit together as well as these 2 do, but this shows why you shouldn't be afraid to bid the game. This is the hand that opposite this one, you have to think, look, your partner has only 2 small hearts, you have 2 small hearts. You have 1 small diamond, partner has 3 small diamonds. There has to be, we've got 10 points. They've got a red suit gamer slam for sure. And if you don't bid 4 spades, one of those brave opponents is liable to jump in there with hearts or diamonds. And I would like to prevent that. I really, really would. Now, here's another example of what to do when you don't have any support, but you have 2 suits. Your partner opens 3 diamonds, and you look at your hand and say, of course you open 3 diamonds. I love it. I love it. Oh dear, what am I going to do? This hand is strong enough that you can offer both of your suits to partner. You have 6 spades and 5 hearts. So which one should we bid first? How about 3 spades? Bid 3 spades first. Partner will probably rebid his suit. If he has to bid again, remember, if you obviously are not going to be a passed hand here. So he has to bid again when you bid a new suit. He will probably rebid his suit. 4 diamonds. Now you can offer 4 hearts and let partner take a choice. You really want to play in the suit where partner has at least 2 cards in it. Offer him the choice of those 2 suits. You should have a good shot at game. Good shot. This is only a 4 loser hand. These 2 minor suit cards, King of Diamonds, Queen of Hearts. This is the kind of hand that you need to bid over partner's preempt when you don't have a fit. Now, here's a little practice. You're sitting in the, yes.
There's a question from Scott.
Sure, Scott, go ahead.
Previous page, that very weak option, hand number 3.
Uh-huh.
Does your partner respond 4 spades even if there's an intervening overcalled 4 hearts?
I would. I certainly would.
Absolutely.
I've got a good idea that they're cold for 4 hearts. You know, my partner is a preemptor and I've got this hand. They're cold for 4 hearts.
You might
Two-trick.
even consider bidding 5 or 6 spades.
Yeah, yeah. That's I'm not above going down 3 doubled and vulnerable if they had 6 hearts between, you know, if they had a contract of 6 hearts that they could win. Can't let people push you around at the table, guys. All right, you're sitting in the first seat and you hold the following hands. What is your opening bid? How about number 1? I heard somebody say something, but I couldn't hear it.
3 clubs.
You bet. This is a perfect 3 club opening. All right, let's look at number 2. What do you think about that?
1 spade.
1 spade. Yes, not 2 spades, 1 spade. Number 1, we have opening hand points, and number 2, we have an outside 4-card major. 1 spade is perfect here. How about number 3?
I did 1 heart. 1 heart.
Absolutely.
heart.
Absolutely. You have 7 hearts, but you've got an opening hand. So this should not be preempted. How about number 4?
Pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly. All right, number 5.
3 diamonds.
Three diamonds.
3 diamonds, yes. You have 7 of them. You bid 2 diamonds. If somebody's sitting there with an opening hand and a 5-card major suit, guess what's going to hit the table? 2 diamonds doesn't have much preemptive value. 3 diamonds is a whole bunch better. And since you have 7 of them, bid 3. How about number 6?
Pass.
Pass.
I'd pass.
If I'm vulnerable, I'm passing. If I'm not vulnerable, I'm probably going to bid. There is no
With 2
point
points?
for a 3-level opening. So this is one I would at least give strong consideration to opening 3 spades if I am not vulnerable. If I'm vulnerable, I don't give it a second thought and I just put the green card on the table. All right, now this time you're the responder. Your partner opens 3 hearts and the next person passes. What are you going to bid? How about hand number 1?
Pass.
Pass. Exactly. Pass. You don't have support. You only have 10 points. Put your hand down and say, good luck, partner. How about number 2?
4 hearts.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Good job. You happen to have an opening hand, but you have 3-card support with an honor. 4 hearts, this has 4 hearts written all over it. You have 10 trump between you. Yeah, you're going to lose some club tricks probably, but partner has a good shot of making 4 hearts here. How about number 3?
Can you say 3 spades?
I'm gonna pass that one.
I'd say 3 spades.
What happens if you bid 3 spades? What does partner have to do?
Bid again.
Bid again. Are you strong enough to make your partner bid again?
No.
No, I'm passing that, saying good luck, partner. I happen to have a nice spade suit, but I don't want to force my partner to bid when he's shown me he has a weak hand and we have no fit. Do I have a guarantee that he's got 2 or 3 spades in his hand? If you want a guarantee there, you're in the wrong game, folks. You could be jumping from the frying pan into the fire here easily. When you're in a hole, stop digging. How about number 4?
I bid 4 spades.
At least 3 spades.
This is definitely, look how much better this hand is than this one. Lots more points. His own 7-card suit. And it's a good suit. I'm going to bid 3 spades, asking partner for support. If he rebids his suit, I'm probably going to bid 4 spades at that point. 3 spades, 4 spades, it's up to you. How about number 5 here?
4 hearts given the support.
Right, exactly. Your partner has 7 hearts, you have 4. The opponents only have 2 of them between them. They have everything else, but we can take tricks with our trumps we have left over. Probably not going to make 4 hearts, but that's okay. How about number 6 here?
13, 14 points. I'm going to pass.
Anybody interested in bidding 3 no trump?
I am. I'm not sure you can make it, but it looks like it's worth a try.
My husband's always in.
Well, how many entries do you think your partner has? Can he have 6 points? Could he have 4 points? He could have 10 points. We don't know. And when your partner opens with a 3-level preempt, you don't have that 2 no trump feature ask to go asking about. So could he have an outside entry? Does he have a solid suit? Because you've only got 1 chance to get to the board here. And he may or may not have an outside entry. You saw some of those preemptive hands, had the suit and nothing else. I am probably going to pass and live to fight another day.
This one.
if 3 no trump makes, I'll apologize to my partner and say it's against the odds. Let's put it that way. And I like to go with the odds. If I keep trying to pick out exactly the right bid, even though I know it's against the odds, I'm going to be so hit and miss that my results are not going to be as good as if I just adopt one set of standards or one system and then follow the rules. That's the way to have long-term success. Try not to base your rules on the results on one hand. You should be following guidelines that produce success over the long haul. How about number 7 here?
I'd pass.
I think that's a preemptive 4 hearts, isn't it?
Sure it is. You bet it is. I've got a singleton, which is great, and I've got 3 card support with an honor. We have 10 trumps between us. Let's give it a whirl. Now here's another hand that's pretty nice here. This hand has lots and lots of playing potential here. What do you think you should bid?
4 no.
This is a case where I'm bidding 4 hearts expecting to make. This is not a 4 hearts because I have 3 card heart support. This is a powerful hand. This hand's worth 20 points. If my partner can't make 4 hearts opposite this hand, we need to chat. Either he's opened a really awful suit or he needs a little work on his declare play, right? I think this is definitely worth a 4 heart call here. And then finally, number 9.
I'd pass.
I'd
Yeah.
pass.
Pass.
And not enough to bid. You only have 2 card support, so the law of total tricks will not protect you if you bid 4. So this is a pass all day long. All right, that concludes this lesson for this morning. If you guys have any questions about it, please feel free to email me. Don't know for sure what we're going to do next week because I've had several suggestions, and we'll do something. It might be opening leads, or it might be what's forcing. Susie has asked for a review of forcing bids again.
I think it's a good idea.
Then other
Susan?
folks, yes.
On 4 and 8, why would you not consider responding 3 no trump?
Well, I never.
I know
liked-
you're supporting your.
Well, on 4 and 8, I would not bid 3 no trump on 8. When my partner has a 7 card suit, a general rule is when you have a strong hand and a weak hand with a long suit, it's much better to let the weak hand with the long suit play in that suit. So that's the reason I wouldn't do it on number 8. On number 4, my partner may not have any outside entries. I have no way of knowing whether he has 7 cards and then 2 small cards in each of the remaining suits. If his suit is not running from the top, I have 1 entry to the board. If I can't set it up, or if it's not ready to run, then his suit is not usable to me. You think I can make 3 no trump on spades, diamonds, and clubs? If I can't even get to his hand but once, say he's got the king, queen, jack, 10, 9, 8, 7. Well, if somebody else has the ace, or even if I leave there once and I get 1 trick, somebody's liable to take the second part, and then I can't get back to get the rest of them. In general, remember, this guy has a weak hand. And it's hard enough playing 3 no trump with a singleton in your partner's suit when you've both got a decent amount of values. Generally, it's okay if one hand has a singleton. When each hand has a singleton, then you get transportation issues. And that's what I'm concerned about here. That's why I would not bid 3 no trump. If you want to do that, have at it.
Thank you.
My experience is that it doesn't work out well.
Susan, back on page 10, that number 6 example,
Mhm.
that doesn't have 5 points. It doesn't show to have 5 points, but you said you would open it 3 spades, non-vulnerable.
But the
Not vulnerable.
rules don't apply to level 3 preempts. That 5 to 10 point range applies to week 2 openings only. Week 2 bids are a different animal from a 3 and 4 level preempt. For instance, when you preempt at the 4 level, you have a good 8-card suit with all your values in that suit and precious little outside. If you have a strong hand with 8 cards in it, you don't open at the 4 level. You open at the 1 level or the 2 club level, if that's appropriate. Preemptive 4 level bids are not bids that you expect to make. So if you have a strong hand with an 8-card suit, don't open at 4. Open at 1. And if partner can't respond to you, then you didn't have much of a chance of making game anyway, did you? So, any other questions or comments? I've run over this morning. I'm sorry. I like to talk too much. Hi, this is Susan. Thanks for stopping by the Oklahoma Collective's YouTube channel. Basically, this channel shows recordings of our free 1-hour bridge lessons for advancing players that we offer every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. If you would like to join us, send your contact information to the email address shown on the screen, and we'll be happy to send you the link. If you would like to follow our channel and be notified when a new recording is uploaded, just click the Oklahoma Collective button below. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.